What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Kimberly Ephone's Tarot. On this Sunday transition towards an early morning Monday. Don't call it an after school special, but let Kimmy provide you the skinny so that your feathers shall not ruffle in this little shuffle. Let's get down. Now, before I get into it, I want to remove my hat just because that's sort of my signature thing. And I'm going to shuffle up the cards very carefully. I don't call this like a specific reading for certain signs or even people. It's an energy reading. People who understand the importance of power and titles, and those who understand having titles but who are willing to abuse their power in order to fulfill selfish motives, which often result in poor leadership, irresponsibility, and lack of self-control. So I'm going to draw 7 cards. Before I even flip the cards over, I want to do something different. Since I'm channeling the energy of power dynamics, how people who have certain titles are obligated to uphold their responsibilities with those titles, and those who choose to abuse it and are willing to continue doing so are not really immune to the overall judgment from the universe, even if they're protected. What is given to a person today can be taken away the next, especially if they're not doing their job properly. But I'm going to channel 3 different messages from 3 different pieces of literature before I even flip these cards, because I'm pulling on the overall energy of power dynamics. And I just want to say before I start this that energy theft, as well as star power robbery and clout chasing, attention seeking thirst, is just as bad as stealing somebody's actual like physical property. But the fact that people are able to successfully do that without really acknowledging where they're gaining the inspiration from could be very, very troublesome for them as they create karma. A little quote from this book: with the attainment of truth, it results from this principle that a fuller and higher humanity is also attained, and conversely, and both united lead to the utmost beauty and the purest joy and blessedness. Here then we have, in the full sense of the word, a dogma which not only is not proved, but which is in fact, when logically tested, is not true, but which if held as an idea may indeed, like any other religious idea, edify mankind and raise him above the limits of sense. Truth in the sense of reality not only does not coincide with beauty, but stands in fact in distinct opposition to it. I disagree with that highly, and it makes sense that I'm channeling the overall energy of power dynamics and abuse of power, how people who understand having important titles and choose to abuse it may not only be lying to themselves, but misleading their students. So you could, for example, you could be a graduate being under leadership from a poor teacher, and to graduate from a poor teacher to be given the wrong information is to be misled, and that itself is really an injustice to you as well as the organization the teacher represents and the people who choose to follow them. But anyways, we'll read another one here. You want to be very mindful of the content you're consuming. Is it destructive or is it uplifting? Is it putting curses over your life, or is it breathing life into you? I don't need to read anymore. I've read enough. I've seen enough. And the thing about that is, yeah, like when you're consuming content, when you're listening to somebody, are you learning something valuable from them? Or are they learning something from you? Are you learning something valuable from them, or are they taking you to benefit themselves? I think you guys will know this one. I will send a sword to destroy the places where people worship idols. The altars will be torn down and the incense altars broken. I don't need to read anymore, but if you guys know the story, I don't encourage violence. You know, we're all civilized people here who abide by the law. At least I am. So we have the first card, King of Cups in reverse. Second card, 10 of Coins in reverse. Third card, Knight of Cups in reverse. Fourth card, Queen of Cups in reverse. Fifth card, the Magician in reverse. Sixth card, King of Wands upright. Seventh card, Five of Coins in the reverse. Before I get into the read, I just want to say, may the creator of the universe provide insight, honest and authentic energy to benefit those in the collective, those who wish to heal, those who understand the importance of power, as well as those who are fighting against the importance of power in order to trick themselves into a false illusion of being entitled to a reward that never belonged to them. That could be for somebody or multiple people. So King of Cups in the reverse. The King of Cups was once a little boy, but has matured into a powerful dragon. He is kind but fiercely protective of those he loves. He is connected to the deep, dark waters of the subconscious. He possesses great patience and wisdom. Reversed, it represents anxiety, lack of caring, control, violence, and imbalance. So if you identify as one of those people who have gifts and wisdom, but you're not really even in control of your own actions because you're reckless, you're irresponsible, you make decisions based out of emotions such as anxiety. And because of that, you are either a poor leader or you're a poor asset to the organization you represent because you fail to do your job properly. So we have that anxiety giving you permission to make poor choices as a result of being emotionally unstable, immature, childish, stubborn. If you keep going down that road, if you have any spiritual rank, you may be completely stripped of it because the universe will see that you're being a very, very poor leader or a poor asset to your organization. A lack of caring, which basically lines up with everything I just said. You don't really care about the consequences, but then when they actually happen to you, you'll be the same person who's begging for mercy to the very God that you go against and fight against. It's a tale as old as time when somebody dabbles in darkness, gets caught up in their own dirty dealings, and then they're begging for mercy because they're under judgment from their own poor choices, and they try to point fingers and blame others when they can only blame themselves for their poor decisions. Control and violence represents you have the ability to control yourself when you want to act out violently based on your poor decisions, based on your irresponsible choices, because you're a poor leader or a poor asset to your organization, and you want to act out violently against those who are not at fault for your poor choices and your poor decisions. And I cannot help you because you're not willing to help yourself. Imbalance basically lines up with everything I said. 10 of Coins in the reverse. The 10 of Coins represents the hard-earned rewards of a difficult venture. He celebrates the lineage that benefits from his hard work. The hardships he once endured allow him to appreciate his good fortune. I can relate to that a lot as somebody who works hard at the things that I do. And even when people create unfair, unjustified obstacles in my life because their poor, reckless decisions bound them to towers, and they would rather try and pin off their karma on me, which doesn't work because they made the decision to make those poor choices, and now they have to deal with the consequences of their actions. But how I can relate to this 10 of Coins is that I feel like the things I do are really to pay respects to my ancestors, the ones that came before me, because people in my family now have not done right by my ancestors, and if they can't do right by them, then I will. And I've seen all the injustices created. I've seen all the things they've done, the poor choices they've made. They're all bound to those poor choices, just like everybody else in life. It's called accountability. Don't be a little bitch and take it. Take accountability for your poor choices. Now, in the reverse, represents financial disaster, disputes, instability, and broken traditions. Are you getting a financial disaster from investing in the wrong things? Are you investing in things that benefit you? Are you investing in things that benefit those who most need it? Or are you investing in things that really only benefit you and nobody else, but they destroy a lot of people in the process? That could line up with the disputes and instability. You may actually be creating your own negative karma. You may be creating your own imbalances in life, your own instability. And the broken traditions represents trying to pin off your poor life choices onto somebody else to feel like you can get a come up off of that when you're the only person to blame for your poor choices. And if it was a tradition to like scapegoat people in your family, for example, the reason why it's a broken tradition now is because it's unjustified. You cannot scapegoat somebody who's done nothing to you. You've done a lot to yourself. You've done a lot to dishonor your ancestors. And when you dishonor your ancestors, you curse your entire bloodline. That's something you're going to have to answer to. And unfortunately, if you do not teach your kids right from wrong, when you've made poor decisions for yourself, your kids will inherit your really, really poor, reckless choices because you're irresponsible, you're invaluable, you're not an asset to your organization. You're a problem to them. You're a problem to your ancestors. You curse your own bloodline. You dishonor your ancestors, and that is truly, truly an injustice, which if you had any spiritual protection now, you may not forever. This is something I've been recently saying about people who abuse divination as well, because you're taking power to abuse it, and that may only get you so far before one day you wake up finding you have no power at all. I can't make it up. Knight of Cups in the reverse. The Knight of Cups is a messenger, kind and gentle, while also willing to take the stand for what he believes in. Now, in this description, it says, after befriending a dragon, he willingly sacrifices himself to save everyone he loves. I cannot personally identify with that. I would not sacrifice myself. And if somebody tried to sacrifice me, for example, that's something I could never overlook, because once you make that choice to come against somebody like that, don't ever expect to be forgiven for it. You don't have the right to be forgiven for those choices. Now, in the reverse, which is how it came out, it represents heartbreak, infidelity, moodiness, pettiness. Why are you heartbroken? Are you heartbroken because you destroyed a relationship and that you can never recover from? Why are you moody? Are you moody because of your own reckless choices? Are you moody because you're greedy, you're selfish, you're all in your head about just being like, I don't know, you're supposed to be an adult, whoever I'm speaking to, maybe it's multiple people, you're supposed to be an adult, but it's like the older you get, the more stubborn and childish you become. The pettiness is a result of that. What are you petty for? Are you petty regarding somebody who doesn't even speak to your ass or think about your ass? Something you're going to have to deal with. Nobody else can fix you. You have to fix yourself. Queen of Cups in the reverse represents the surface of the subconscious, mysterious but also kind and caring. In the reverse, it represents immaturity, selfishness, smothering, sulking, and spite. Now, I can relate to that, not as somebody who identifies that way. I mean, if I ever become a father someday, I'm not going to be any of those things, but I've been raised by people who put themselves before me, who would be willing to absolutely sacrifice me for their own level ups. Even if they're like 50 or older, they don't really give a shit. They care about me going down to benefit them because they're very selfish, greedy, needy. And that level of immaturity really shows, as well as the selfishness, and then smothering me by trying to attach themselves to me after they've done me dirty. But those who throw stones, then try to hide their hand, are often the most cowardly. And now they're sulking and they're spiteful. They're sulking because they didn't get their way. Go back to what I said on the last card regarding the older you get, the more of a baby you become. And you're spiteful. You have nobody to blame but yourself. And if you have karma coming to you, you cannot pin it off on anybody else, and you deserve everything you get. The Magician in the reverse. Interesting. The Magician is a helping hand. It is up to the protagonist to use her support, moving forward to do the right thing. In the reverse, which is how I drew it, it represents insecurity, a lack of imagination, closed doors, and manipulation. Go back to what I said in the beginning of the read about people who steal energy as well as star power is truly a theft, even potentially greater than stealing a physical object. And their insecurity will show regarding this when they decide to become thieves, because they're not really capable of doing something productive on their own, and it shows. A lack of imagination is a result of that energy stealing and star power theft. Even though the star power doesn't belong to you, even though the energy doesn't belong to you, you really want that achievement. It doesn't drain my energy, doesn't deplete my star power. Even if it looks that way regarding the things you do and regarding the things I do, you just really can't lie to the energies of the universe. Even if you lie to yourself, you lie to everybody else, and you lie to me. The closed door represents the fact that I would never work with anybody who does those sorts of things, and that once you've made the decision to come against someone like me, or in this case, whoever you're doing dirty, you've already closed that door off. And manipulation represents trying to shift focus away from the fact that you played an active role in creating problems and obstacles for somebody in their life, and now you want to pin it off like, oh, it was everybody else but not me, I was innocent in the whole thing. There's a difference between people who use manipulation and people who win over others who they do dirty by changing their actions and showing them through loyalty and action. Not everybody is capable of doing that, and we understand. King of Wands in the upright. Actually, that's the only card that was in the upright on this reading. It could be interesting. Let's see what that means. The King of Wands is the Phoenix. By the way, this is the very last card in the deck, and it's the only one that came out upright in this reading. The King of Wands is a symbol of strength. The legend of the Phoenix spans many different cultures. It represents strength and loyalty. Upright, which is how it came out, it represents honesty, passion, leadership, charm, and flexibility. I don't mean to take credit for it, since I'm not trying to personalize the reading, but I kind of have to, in a sense that people get readings done on me daily, and that my energy plays an important role in the spiritual community, especially tarot. If somebody's getting readings done on me daily, and the person who gets those readings done, even if they write cue cards and send them out to other readers, might not like what they're hearing from the actual source, which is me. And I'm going to give them honesty, which is the first word that it represents in the upright. I'm going to give them passion, which is something I show with everything I do, whether I posting music, covers, just goofing off, or doing something like a tarot reading here. Leadership. I'm not saying I'm a leader, but I'm saying if I'm comparing myself to leaders who don't really do their jobs properly, maybe I could potentially be a leader. I don't know. I'm not trying to. I don't call it a competition. But when others try to compete with me, then throw stones and try to hide their hand, it really shows they're not a valuable asset to the organization they represent. Or in some cases, if they are a leader, it's very, very poor leadership, because a coward in a leadership position is no leader at all. And a man of honesty and integrity would have no reason to show cowardice towards those they have issues with. Charm. What's up, sexy? Is that some sort of new gothic lace you're wearing? I'm just kidding. I'm not trying to charm anybody. Flexibility. It means, we should be flexible. We should be willing to work with other people who have different beliefs. We should not judge them unless they give us a reason to judge them. If you want to throw shots at me for my spiritual beliefs, for example, I have no problem calling you a spiritual retard or a spiritual bum. I have no problem calling you a worshiper of Daddy Darkness and most likely an irrelevant slime bucket if you do that to me. Because it takes two to tango. But let's move on to the last card. 5 of coins in the reverse. Represents financial hardship and feeling left in the cold. Struggles alone, despite their proximity to a force that could potentially help them. In the reverse, it represents paid debts, improved finances, positive change, acceptance, and recovery. I feel like that's the energy that I'm in right now, even though the overall 5 of coins card sort of tells the tale of people who do me injustices. The fact that it's coming out in the reverse, I'm not saying it pertains to me, but remember, you get readings done on me every day, so you're not going to like what you hear. The paid debts, meaning whatever karma, whatever petty bullshit you tried to justify coming against me for, would be a paid debt like fucking 20 years ago, as far as I'm concerned. And the fact that somebody keeps trying to rehash old cycles really shows everything I said about them being a poor leader or more of a threat to their organization than a valuable asset. Improved finances represents the fact that even if you tried to bind me to the same cycle over and over, you cannot block me from making money no matter how hard you try or who you know, because I'm very capable of making money and I'm very abundant despite what you do to intentionally hold me back, which is petty, irresponsible, reckless, childish, stubborn, idiotic, and immature. And it's like the older you get, the more of a baby you become. That's just something you need to hear. Positive change. You cannot dwell in toxicity and negativity your entire life. If you walk around miserable, you walk around always talking about other people behind their back, that's something you really need to reflect on. Acceptance, basically just everything I said, and recovery. Maybe you need to talk to some people to understand why it is you do the things that you do. The reason why I won't talk to you is because you've probably burned enough bridges with me already, and you've closed off that door. You chose to play a person who was a blocker in my life rather than somebody who wanted to be a part of my evolution, my part of moving forward, my part of leveling up. You did everything you could to hold me back, and you're going to have to answer for that. But it could relate to a lot of different people. The fact that they get readings done on me daily says a lot. They may run all their money dry doing that. It's never going to be a good thing. But it ain't no thing but a chicken wing, right? I mean, actually, yeah, it is a thing. And if you're a chicken, everybody in the chicken coop will know you're a chicken, even if you're the biggest chicken out of the entire flock. I can't make it up. That's the seasoning. So everyone in the reverse, except for the King of Wands in the upright, the Phoenix, represents leadership and just doing the right thing. It's the only one that came out in the upright. That can't be coincidence, right? Have a good one, y'all.